Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. In today's video I'm going to be talking about what's in my autumn winter hiking bag for solo trips. I thought I'd separate it out into three distinct areas: kit, warmth and rain. And I think when you're hiking alone you often need to take a little bit more than maybe you do if you're going with someone else, because you can sort of share things. So it might seem like there's quite a lot of things here, but I think particularly on autumn winter, where the weather can change really quite quickly, and ensuring that you have your bases covered and you know that you can go out with confidence knowing that you've got your rainwear, your warmth, or your kit to be able to sort of navigate if the situation suddenly changes. So I'll start with my bag. So in summer I'll usually prefer a smaller bag because hopefully the weather will be better. So I would typically use a 26-litre bag. In the autumn and winter, depending on the sort of hike that I'm doing, if it is a full day, maybe up in the mountains or maybe some trickier terrain, I will use a bigger rucksack, and I have the Osprey Stratos 36, which I love. I love the fact that with Ospreys you have the airflow through section, which sort of keeps it off your back and stops it becoming like too sweaty basically. And it also has these amazing hip sort of support, and that just takes the weight off your back as well, so it's really good. It is quite heavy as a bag, but the outside water pockets are a feature that I also really like as well, especially when you don't want to pull out everything when it's raining, and has sort of nice pockets in the front and in the top. So I think it's a good bag for the season. I also have the Osprey 26-litre, which is a similar model. It's just slightly smaller and still has the hip support and the airflow through the back as well as the outside pockets. So to start with the kit, in autumn winter and similarly to summer, I'll always be carrying my compass and my map, and potentially a map case as well if I think the weather is going to be sort of raining. I'll also bring a phone case for my phone. I just have one of these like clear sealable. You can get some nice ones from OS, actually. They sell some like more decorative ones, but it's just so that if I'm using my phone I can use it in the rain. The big thing I think during this season is carrying a head torch. The light starts to fade really quite early. I think sort of at the moment in November, it's probably the sun is setting around 4 o'clock in the south of the UK, and it's probably slightly earlier in the north. And that means that, as well as factoring in your walking time, ensuring that you've allowed enough walking time, carrying a head torch is really helpful in case maybe you sort of underestimated it and it does start to go dark. They often say as well to bring some spare batteries. Sometimes I don't remember to do that, but I do have another one, so I carry 2 head torches, so it's sort of as like a backup in case it doesn't work. The thing that I particularly like to carry on me as a solo walker is a whistle, and this is just to use only in extreme emergencies where you're unable to contact anybody via phone, and you need to sort of call for help. The distress signal is 6 blasts in a minute, and you sort of keep doing this until you get a call, and the reply to it is 3 blasts on a whistle, and that will be the sort of call and response, and you keep doing it until you are rescued, because if you stop, people might not be able to find out where you are. So it's just, again, only in real emergencies, but this one is the life systems one, and it is really quite loud. So yeah, just for like when you're alone and you just kind of need that, you just want that reassurance that if all the tech does die, you can try whistle if you are injured or in extreme danger. The other thing I like to carry around with me as a solo hiker is a battery pack, and this is just to recharge any devices, particularly if you're using your phone for navigation purposes. Your battery will decline, and I have been in a couple of situations where it's been getting quite low and I've sort of been racing to try and get to the end of the walk because I'm nervous that I'm not going to be able to work out what time the bus is, or not going to be able to let that person know that I made it safely. So these are also really good to carry around. Also, sometimes in the autumn and winter, I think the really cold temperatures could drain batteries as well. So just having this is just the peace of mind to know that if you are running on 10%, you know you've got a full battery back to boost you up. I like to keep all of these things in a dry bag. I think these are great. It's just a really good way to keep everything sort of contained and also waterproof, particularly in autumn winter when it can be quite rainy. So moving on to warmth now. It can be really cold in autumn and especially winter, when you are climbing, increasing your altitude as well. The temperatures can really drop, especially if there's a wind chill, and making sure that you sort of factor that in and that you're carrying enough layers to be able to warm yourself up when you're on the top. So I really like my Rab puffer. They pack down really small and they've sort of got a down inside, and it is just a fantastic way of being able to put something on and warming up really quite quickly. I also like to bring other layers as well. This is often perhaps if you're sweating as well and you just sort of want to be able to put a new layer on to remove that and to sort of cool down there as well, and that can be really helpful as well if it's raining and you're sort of wet from that. So just sort of having that extra. Often when you finish a walk you can suddenly get really cold if you have been sweating, so having that extra layers are really helpful just to sort of put on and keep warm, particularly if you're traveling by public transport or you're waiting for a lift to come and pick you up. It's really important. Especially as well in the rain, sometimes if you put your boot down and it might be quite boggy and your boot might suddenly be submerged, carrying a spare pair of socks is also really helpful, because cold feet, there's nothing worse than cold feet, and it can be quite dangerous sometimes if it is very cold. So again, just having your sort of base layers. I like using these sort of wicker base layers that are quite breathable. I just get mine from Vinted. People are selling them for like £2-3, and that is just really good in terms of the season. If it is really cold, I do also like to bring a hat and a muff, and I also have a nice pair of gloves. I prefer knowing that I've got the waterproof ones with me. I really like wearing headbands sometimes, particularly if I want to keep my ears warm but I am still quite warm in myself. So sometimes I save the hat for when I'm on the top, and I like to use these headbands to keep the chill off my ears, which I can find can give me a headache if it's really windy. So these are always really good to have as well on you. The other thing that I like to bring with me and pack in my bag when I'm solo hiking is a flask and a cup so I can have like some soup or potentially a cup of tea. I will bring the little sachets of milk sometimes, which is a good way of sort of reducing the weight so you're not carrying it. And I do find if you're making a coffee, you sort of want to add anything cold to it when you're making the coffee, otherwise it will cool the drink down quite a lot. But this, I think, is such an enjoyable part of autumn winter hiking, because I think it's really taking the time to slow down, enjoy your hot cup of something, and to just sort of take it all in. And please always take whatever you use your tea bags with you, please don't leave them, and ensure that you've brought paper towels if you just need to sort of wipe your mug before putting it away, and leave no trace. But can be such a special moment just to sort of have that warming feeling and see the steam, and it's something that I just really love doing in the season. On the topic of food and drink, also bring plenty of water. Even though it is slightly colder, it is really important that you stay hydrated, particularly if you're on your own and you're carrying all your own water. It's just doubly important to make sure that you're not getting dehydrated. I really like these Hydra packs. They're super lightweight and flimsy, so when you are maybe packing to go on your trip, they pack really small, but they are also really light. This is the 500 millilitres, but they go up to a litre as well, and they're just great for not having to weigh your bag down. I think that's why a lot of people don't take enough water, because the weight of it can sometimes add to the weight of the bag, and that can make it more challenging. But having lightweight water bottles is a great option, because it means you can take more water without the weight of the water bottle. In autumn and winter, I will always bring my rain jacket with me. I always pack that, even if it doesn't say it's going to rain, I'll still bring it, because you never quite know. I have the Rab shell rain jacket, which actually fits really nicely over my Rab puffer, but again, just having a functional waterproof is perfectly fine, and it's just important that it fits you. It covers where you need it to cover, for example your wrists, so it's so the water is running off. Sometimes people prefer to have the rain jacket slightly longer, so it's running off their legs, or some people prefer it slightly higher if they don't want sort of the extra weight lower down. And on top of this, I'll often bring my over trousers. I tend to only really use them if I know it's going to be really rainy, because it is often a bit of a faff to take them on and take them off. But if I can see the rain is forecast, and also if it's quite cold, because it's a really good way of having that extra insulation, particularly in your legs, because I think that's sometimes a place where people forget to add insulation. And so wearing them over your walking trousers can also add to this, and it allows you to sit down, particularly if it's wet and you just want to sort of, you don't want to get a chill. They can also be really good. Similarly to the puffer, that you can get over trousers that pack really small into a little bag, so they can be really handy just to pop in. The other couple of bits I wanted to mention when you're hiking in autumn winter alone is it's always really quite nice to carry a little seat. If you are wearing over trousers, obviously that will protect you if the ground is wet, or if the terrain isn't that necessarily that comfortable. But a seat will, if it is dry and you just want to have that added insulation, it keeps you quite a lot warmer when you're sat down, because often the cold rock will chill you down. So this is actually a really nice way of staying a little bit warmer when you're sat down, and they're super light and they sort of pack away. It's also really important to bring enough food. I always use these stasher bags, which I think are great little lunch boxes, and bring in enough food, particularly if it's very cold, because your body will be using a lot of energy to sort of keep you warm, and so it's important that you have enough food on you as well. I would just say generally with everything, it's just better to be prepared, and you feel more confident as a solo hiker when you have these things, because those sort of thoughts where, oh, what happens if this happens, and actually knowing that I'm gonna be okay, or I'm gonna have enough food, or I'm gonna have enough water, or I know how to get myself out of this situation, just really helps when you're out there enjoying the great outdoors. It is worth saying again, even in all seasons, letting somebody know where you're going and what time you're expected back, remembering how much daylight that you have and what time you'll need to set off. It's really good to use the OS app to track your route and to plot it out, and that will give you a more accurate time if you are maybe biting off more than you can chew. But autumn and winter is a lovely time to explore the great outdoors. The seasons are changing, and it can be really special and maybe slightly quieter than some of the summer months. So good luck on your solo endeavours, and I hope to see you in the next video. If you could subscribe, I would be so grateful, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.